Man, women can't stop taking L's. Dry skin? Women have so many problems.
I could fix all of
dry skin,
problems.
buck teeth, earwax, Crohn's disease.
Yeah,
women are just hit with every debuff that you can have in the game.
But they're sexy.
Hey, they are. This chick's probably got Crohn's disease out the wazoo, though. Look at her abs are convulsing right now, making more
Walter Sobchak wants to know what the best state in the Northeast is to live.
I would say, well, so there's this idea I have that I think Nicholas Nassim Talib Majamid. Nicholas Nassim Majamid. The stimulus is the information. Okay. Never going to find it. Google's broken. But this guy said something like the stimulus is the information. And the point of that being that the environment, the sort of like the whatever, like it's not possible to separate the information that you want and need to make whatever it is that you do, to separate that from the environment that you're in, kind of. Something like that. Here's what I took from it. I like to live in the ghetto, and be in a city Providence is not it's not so big that it's overwhelming, but it's still like a city. Yeah. And I like that because it's the right level of agitation and misery to make me want to work. Whereas if I was out in the sticks, I feel like I would be less productive, and I would also be less in tune with like what is going on in the world. Yeah. You know, like I see some little Honduran man going into the check cashing spot wearing a mask still, which is crazy. Like if you go to a city and you see like it's the real like fresh off the boat people who are still wearing masks. Yeah. Like the regular like the Dominican like bus driver guy, he's not wearing a mask anymore. But like the people that like just got here like 6 months ago, they're like they're masked up like their life depends on it. You know what I mean? Like
That's true.
Little Chinese guy. But it's seeing that somehow makes me more productive, more ready to do what I have to do. Does that make sense? So New Hampshire's wicked nice, but we went up to New Hampshire and we went up there at the like the beginning of COVID, and those people fell hard for the mask shit. Yeah. Like all the white people up in New Hampshire, like there's a thing. It's like an internal rot when it's all white people. It all ends up they start sliding towards being liberals. And New Hampshire has gun culture, but they also have in this house we believe science is science, water is life. Every yard. Like they have that shit every yard. We went up there during COVID. They were all like super masked, and like you can't come into the auto zone if you don't have a mask on. And I think Vermont is like incredibly scenic, but it's even more paused.
It's also senile.
Vermont is like ultra paused. Like you'd have to start giving out hammers and caffeine pills to homeless people if you live in Vermont, just to teach them a lesson. And then Maine has a lot of what is it? What are evergreens? Is it just called an evergreen? What's the opposite of deciduous?
It's evergreen.
Deciduous, coniferous.
Oh.
I don't like being surrounded by coniferous trees for some reason. It makes me feel I just don't like it. So Maine is out of the question for me. Although you can buy an island in Maine. But you can't cut down your trees on your property in Maine sometimes. Like they give you shit about that. There's a lot of like nature conservation up there. Rhode Island's pretty good. Rhode Island has some. I mean, that's where I choose to live. Yeah. Connecticut, Eastern Connecticut's very scenic. New York State has a lot of scenic. I mean, New York State is so scenic. That's where the Hudson River School of Painters. Hudson River School. Yeah, these artists were so stricken by the beauty of upstate New York that they created a school of painting, school as in like a genre of painting, and rightfully so. I mean, there's some stuff in upstate New York and along the way, Western Mass, and also in Connecticut, where it's like shockingly scenic. Like what was that? There was a game. There's a video game that used, it was like a, fuck. It's like a What Remains of Edith Finch. Is that the? Yeah, I think this was this was not it. It's a game like this where the big deal was they took a lot of scenery and combined it into one thing, but it really reminds me a lot of upstate New York.
It's pretty there.
Yeah.
The laws up here could be bunk, but I think this is the best part of the United States.
Probably New Hampshire's probably where you would want to go and just hunker down with some gun nuts.
I got blazed through these here.